Hey everyone, imagine surviving war zones, earning medals for saving lives, only to be humiliated by a cop who thinks his badge makes him invincible, until a single medal drops on a courtroom table and turns the tide. I'm Zara Khan, and this is my story of battling corruption, reclaiming honor, and proving courage outshines any badge. Stick around, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Zara Khan, 37, stood in an Albuquerque courtroom, her posture rigid from 14 years of Marine Corps discipline. Across the room, Lieutenant Carl Ramsey, a towering police officer in a pristine uniform, sneered with unchecked arrogance. "You think you can sue me?" he mocked, his badge glinting like a taunt. "I'm a cop, lady. You're nothing." Zara's eyes didn't waver. Slowly, she reached into her blazer, pulled out a velvet case, and placed it on the table with a quiet thud. The room froze. She opened it, revealing a silver star, its silver surface catching the light like a beacon. Ramsey's smirk vanished as Judge Olivia Martinez leaned forward, reading the citation. Major Zara Khan, USMC, for gallantry in action, Afghanistan 2016, rescuing 6 Marines under enemy fire. Zara's path to this moment was carved through sacrifice. A former Marine major, she'd served 3 deployments in Afghanistan and Iraq, leading troops through ambushes and earning a Silver Star for a 2016 mission, where she carried 6 wounded Marines to safety under Taliban fire, her own arm bleeding from shrapnel. Now she ran Desert Valor, an Albuquerque nonprofit supporting veterans, especially women, facing PTSD, unemployment, and societal bias. Zara's days were a marathon of counseling, job fairs, and advocacy. Her own transition haunted by nightmares of war and the struggle to prove her worth as a female vet. On a balmy September evening in 2024, Zara was driving home from a Desert Valor support group at a community center in Albuquerque's South Valley. The session had been raw, 6 women sharing stories of combat trauma, workplace discrimination, and the quiet pain of being dismissed as just vets. Zara stayed late, mentoring Sofia Delgado, a 29-year-old former Army specialist who'd lost her job due to PTSD-related absences. Zara's Ford Bronco, adorned with a Marine Corps license plate, cruised through a quiet suburb. At 9:12 p.m., red and blue lights flashed in her rearview mirror. Zara's training kicked in. Hands at 10 and 2, engine off, interior light on. She waited, senses sharp. Lieutenant Carl Ramsey approached, his stride aggressive, hand on his holster despite no threat from the petite woman in the driver's seat. "Marine, huh?" he scoffed, eyeing her license plate with disdain. "Show me your papers. That uniform you wore doesn't mean squat." Zara handed over her driver's license and DD-214, detailing her honorable discharge, Silver Star, Bronze Star, and Purple Heart. Ramsey barely glanced at them, his focus on dominance. "I'm a police lieutenant," he declared as if it trumped all. "I don't need a reason to stop vets like you." Zara's heart pounded, but her combat-honed calm held. "Vets like me?" she asked, voice steady. Ramsey leaned in, his tone venomous. "Washed-up grunts who think they're heroes." The insult stung, echoing the Taliban's taunt she'd ignored to save her squad. She discreetly activated her phone's voice recorder, capturing every word. "I've heard worse from enemies," she said softly. "Am I free to go?" Ramsey's face twisted with rage. "Don't get smart," he snapped, dragging the stop out for 40 minutes with invasive questions about her nonprofit, her veteran status, and threats to put you in your place. He rifled through her glove box, tossing her DD-214 onto the EUA seat like trash. Finally, he let her go with a warning to respect authority. Zara drove home, her hand steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. At her modest apartment, she sat at her kitchen table staring at her DD-214, its honors mocked by Ramsey's contempt. She'd risked her life for this country, yet faced harassment from a man sworn to protect it. The next morning, Zara filed a complaint with the Albuquerque Police Department, attaching the recording and a detailed account. She contacted Sofia and another client, Diego Morales, a former Navy corpsman who'd mentioned similar run-ins with Ramsey. Their statements described late-night stops, no violations, and verbal abuse targeting their service. Zara also reached out to her support group, uncovering 2 more women, Lena and Amina, with parallel experiences. 4 weeks later, the response came. Insufficient evidence. Lieutenant Ramsey has an exemplary record. Case closed. That night, an anonymous email landed. Drop it, jarhead. Cops always win. The threat confirmed Zara's fears. Ramsey was protected by a department that prioritized loyalty over truth. She'd faced Taliban snipers and IEDs. She wouldn't bow to a bully with a badge. She contacted the Veterans Advocacy Network, VAN, a nonprofit defending veterans' rights, particularly women facing post-service discrimination. Her lawyer, Aisha Patel, reviewed the case with a grim expression. Ramsey's got a history, Aisha said, pulling out 9 complaints from female veterans over 5 years, all dismissed, all followed by anonymous harassment. He targets women he thinks won't fight back, vets with PTSD, jobless, isolated. Zara's resolve hardened. She thought of Sophia, Diego, Lena, Amina, and her support group, fighting to reclaim their dignity. I want to sue, she said. Aisha nodded. Federal civil rights lawsuit. It'll be a war. They'll attack your service, your PTSD, your nonprofit's finances, even your personal life. You in? Zara pictured her silver star earned through blood and courage. I've faced worse, she replied. Let's do this. Zara's decision was bigger than Ramsey. It was for every veteran disrespected despite their sacrifice. She spent weeks gathering evidence, balancing Desert Valor's demands with legal prep. Sophia's fear of retaliation weighed on her, but Zara's leadership, honed in combat, reassured her. Diego offered a recorded stop where Ramsey mocked his Navy service. Lena and Amina shared detailed accounts, their voices trembling but resolute. A new ally emerged, Colonel Retimir Elena Torres, a Desert Valor board member and Zara's former battalion commander, who vowed to rally male veterans who'd witnessed Ramsey's abuse. Zara's PTSD flared, nightmares of that 2016 ambush, gunfire, thus the weight of wounded Marines returning with intensity. Her therapist, Dr. Malik Rahim, helped her cope, using mindfulness and journaling to channel her anger. You're fighting a system, not just Ramsey, Malik said. That's a heavy load. Anonymous threats escalated. Texts. Back off. Marine. Voicemails. You'll regret this. A slashed tire. Zara reported each to Aisha, who traced some to burner accounts but hit dead ends. Baba, her grandfather, a Gulf War vet, had taught her resilience. Courage is standing firm when the world tries to break you. She wouldn't break. Suing Lieutenant Ramsey was a declaration of war, and Zara approached it with the Marines' precision. The Veterans Advocacy Network dove into building an airtight case, with Aisha Patel leading a team to prove Ramsey's pattern of abuse. Zara juggled Desert Valor, running support groups, securing grants, mentoring clients, with late-night evidence sessions. The emotional toll was immense, but her discipline kept her grounded. Aisha's team uncovered a chilling pattern. Ramsey's 9 prior complaints, all from female veterans, shared identical traits: pretextual stops, verbal abuse targeting their service, and anonymous threats post-complaint. One woman, a former Army lieutenant, had left Albuquerque after her car was vandalized. Another, a Coast Guard vet, dropped her case when her employer received threatening calls. Internal Affairs had dismissed every complaint, citing Ramsey's impeccable record and lack of corroborating evidence. Zara's recording was their cornerstone. Ramsey's voice, smug and cruel, calling her a washed-up grunt. Aisha warned it might not suffice. The defense will call it a one-off, she said. We need more witnesses, recordings, anything. Zara tapped her Desert Valor network, cautiously asking clients about Ramsey. Sophia, Diego, Lena, and Amina agreed to testify. Though Sophia feared for her children's safety, Diego worried about his VA benefits, Lena dreaded public scrutiny, and Amina battled crippling anxiety. Zara, drawing on her command experience, held one-on-one meetings, instilling confidence while promising protection. Colonel Torres delivered a breakthrough: 4 male veterans who'd witnessed Ramsey's stops. One, Javier Ruiz, a former Green Beret, had recorded Ramsey harassing him, capturing threats of arrest for disrespect. Another, Omar Khalid, a former Air Force mechanic, provided a dashcam video of Ramsey berating a female vet. Javier and Omar's evidence, combined with Diego's recording, Sophia's statement, and the prior complaints, built a formidable case. Aisha also secured testimony from Dr. Layla Hassan, a criminologist studying police bias against veterans, and Dr. Priya Sharma, a psychologist specializing in veteran trauma, to contextualize the emotional toll of Ramsey's abuse. Zara faced personal battles. Her PTSD, managed through years of therapy, surged with vivid flashbacks, carrying a bleeding Marine through a firefight, her own arm torn by shrapnel. Malik's sessions helped, but the anonymous threats, now including defaced photos mailed to Desert Valor and a brick through her office window, tested her resolve. A new subplot emerged, reconnecting with her estranged sister, Noor Khan, a nurse who distanced herself after their parents' death in a car accident a decade earlier. Noor reached out, moved by news of Zara's fight, offering cautious support. Their coffee meetups, filled with tentative stories of their childhood in Santa Fe, became a lifeline, though trust was fragile. Elena Torres rallied Albuquerque's veteran community, hosting a town hall at Desert Valor to discuss police reform. Over 100 veterans attended, joined by two young officers, Officer Maria Gonzalez and Officer Samir Ali, who expressed dismay at Ramsey's actions. Maria, a former Army medic, shared her own experiences with bias, forging a bond with Zara. Samir, whose brother was a vet, pledged to advocate for change within the department. The town hall drew local media, with outlets like the Albuquerque Journal covering Desert Valor's role. Zara declined interviews, but the attention brought grants, easing Desert Valor's budget strain and funding a new outreach program for homeless vets. Isha's team prepared for the defense's onslaught. They'll dig into your deployments, your PTSD, your nonprofit's finances, even your family, Aisha warned. They'll paint you as unstable, vengeful, a troublemaker. Zara reviewed her record. 14 years, 3 deployments, a Silver Star for saving 6 Marines, a Bronze Star for leadership, a Purple Heart for wounds sustained. That 2016 mission, leading a rescue through a Taliban ambush, her arm bleeding, her squad pinned down, defined her. Duty above fear. Now she'd channel that into court. But doubts crept in. Would the jury see her as a hero or a broken vet? Would Noor's fragile support withstand the trial's pressure? A new subplot introduced Zara's mentorship of Amira Hassan, a 24-year-old former Navy petty officer who joined Desert Valor after a Ramsey stop left her shaken. Amira's story, pulled over at 2 a.m., mocked for her service and threatened with arrest, mirrored Zara's. Zara guided Amira through therapy and advocacy, helping her find her voice. Amira's courage, despite her youth and inexperience, became a spark for Zara, reinforcing her mission. The night before the trial, Zara sat in her apartment, her Silver Star beside a photo of her platoon in Helmand Province. She thought of her Marine oath: defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Ramsey's badge was a weapon when used to harm. She texted Elena, "Locked and loaded?" Elena replied, "Semper Fi, Major." Noor sent a message, "I'm proud of you, sis." Amira texted, "You're my hero." Zara's heart steadied. She wasn't alone. The trial opened on a frigid March morning in 2025, the Albuquerque courthouse packed with spectators. Local media hyped the Marine versus Cop showdown, with outlets like KOB4 focusing on the drama rather than the stakes. Zara arrived in a tailored Navy blazer, a Marine Corps pin on her lapel, her bearing commanding but understated. Lieutenant Ramsey strode in, dress uniform gleaming with medals, his confidence curated by his lawyer, Gregory Vance, a former prosecutor known for defending cops. Vance had coached Ramsey to project untouchable authority, a hero under attack. Vance's opening statement leaned on Ramsey's 22-year career, citing commendations from the mayor, police chief, and community groups. Zara, he claimed, was a disgruntled veteran with PTSD, suing for fame and financial gain. Major Khan has a history of challenging authority, Vance said, twisting her advocacy into defiance. He cited Desert Valor's modest budget, implying mismanagement, and hinted at Zara's unstable family ties, referencing Noor's absence. The jury, 9 men, 3 women, including 2 veterans, a Vietnam-era sailor and a Gulf War Marine, listened closely, their expressions unreadable. Aisha's opening framed Ramsey as a predator. Lieutenant Ramsey targeted female veterans, exploiting his badge to intimidate those he thought wouldn't resist, she said. We'll prove a pattern of abuse, shielded by a system that prioritizes loyalty over justice. The veteran. Jurors nodded slightly, a flicker of hope for Zara. Ramsey testified first, claiming he stopped Zara for erratic driving and denied targeting veterans. His comments, he said, were misinterpreted banter. Aisha's cross-examination was surgical, playing Zara's recording, washed-up grunts who think they're heroes. Ramsey stammered, insisting it was out of context. Javier's video, Omar's dashcam, and Diego's recording followed, each exposing his hostility. The jury's faces soured, the Gulf War Marine juror shaking his head. Zara took the stand, her voice steady, despite Vance's aggressive questioning. Major Khan, you've been unemployed since leaving the Marines, correct? He pressed. I run Desert Valor serving veterans, Zara replied. It's service, not a paycheck. Vance smirked. Your PTSD causes instability, doesn't it? This lawsuit is a vendetta, fueled by personal failures, failed relationships, a struggling nonprofit. Zara felt Noor's eyes from the gallery, a silent anchor. She paused, then pulled out her military ID and the velvet case. She set them on the table, her ID listing her rank, the case revealing her silver star. The courtroom hushed. Judge Olivia Martinez, a Navy reservist who'd served in Desert Storm, leaned forward, reading the citation. For gallantry in action, rescuing 6 Marines under enemy fire, sustaining wounds. Counselor, Martinez said to Vance, are you familiar with the Silver Star? Vance faltered. It's for bravery, Your Honor. Martinez's tone was razor-sharp. It's for extraordinary courage, often at mortal risk. Major Khan saved lives under fire, wounded herself. Were you aware of that when you called her unstable? Vance's bravado crumbled. Aisha presented Sophia, Diego, Lena, and Amina's statements, Javier and Omar's recordings, and testimony from Dr. Hassan and Dr. Sharma. Hassan linked Ramsey's actions to systemic bias against female veterans, while Sharma detailed the psychological harm of his abuse, citing Lena's panic attacks and Amina's withdrawal. The evidence was overwhelming. Ramsey preyed on vulnerable women, banking on their silence. Amira's testimony, though brief, was powerful, her voice shaking as she described Ramsey's stop. He said my Navy service was a joke. I felt worthless. Zara's closing statement was quiet but piercing. I served 14 years to protect this country, carrying Marines to safety under fire. I didn't expect to fight harassment at home from an officer who thinks his badge outranks my service. I'm here for every veteran, Sophia, Diego, Lena, Amina, Amira, who deserves dignity, not abuse. The jury's veteran jurors locked eyes, with her, a silent acknowledgement. The jury deliberated for 9 hours. Zara sat with Elena, Aisha, Noor, and Amira in the courthouse cafeteria, nerves taut, but hope alive. Sophia and Diego joined, their presence a reminder of the stakes. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts of civil rights violations, harassment, and abuse of authority, relief washed over Zara like a desert rain. Ramsey's face was pale, his badge powerless. The courtroom erupted in murmurs, but Zara remained composed, her mission far from over. The verdict sent shockwaves through Albuquerque. Headlines shifted from Veteran Sues Cop to Marines' Courage Exposes Police Corruption. Veteran networks like the VFW and American Legion amplified Zara's story, and social media exploded with support. Hashtags like Desert Valor and No Badge for Abuse trending globally. Zara's inbox overflowed. Gratitude from vets, outrage from civilians, interview requests from the New York Times and PBS NewsHour. She declined most, prioritizing Desert Valor and her clients, though she gave a brief statement to the Albuquerque Journal. "This isn't about me, it's about every veteran who's been silenced." Ramsey faced swift consequences: immediate termination, loss of pension, and federal charges for civil rights violations, carrying a potential 7-year sentence. The Albuquerque Police Department, reeling from public scrutiny, launched a comprehensive review of its complaint process, hiring an independent auditor. Sofia, Diego, Lena, and Amina filed new complaints, their cases now prioritized by a chastened department. 5 other women from Aisha's files came forward, their stories mirroring Zara's. Zara met them at Desert Valor, forming a support circle to share pain and strategy. "You gave us a voice," Lena said, tears in her eyes. Zara shook her head. "You always had it. I just helped you use it." Elena's town hall grew into a movement, with Maria Gonzalez and Samir Ali organizing bi-weekly veteran police dialogues at Desert Valor. Over 200 attended the second event, including the police chief who pledged reforms. Maria presented Zara with a plaque signed by 60 officers. "Thank you for demanding better." Zara hung it in Desert Valor's lobby, beside a mural of New Mexico's Sandia Mountains, a symbol of resilience. Samir, whose brother's PTSD had inspired his career, became a regular at Desert Valor, mentoring young vets like Amira. Noor's support deepened, her nursing expertise shaping Desert Valor's mental health programs. She volunteered weekly, counseling clients and hosting wellness workshops. Their bond, once fractured by grief, became a cornerstone, though Zara remained cautious, haunted by years of distance. A new subplot emerged: Zara's outreach to her childhood friend, Layla Ortiz, a social worker who'd lost touch after Zara's deployments. Layla, moved by news of the trial, reconnected, offering to lead Desert Valor's job training program. Their renewed friendship, built on shared memories of Santa Fe summers, added warmth to Zara's life. The trial drained Zara's savings, and PTSD symptoms, flashbacks of that 2016 ambush, the screams of her squad, persisted. Malik's therapy helped, as did Noor's late-night calls and Layla's encouragement. Amira's progress was a bright spot. She enrolled in college, inspired by Zara to study law. But a new challenge arose: a smear campaign by Ramsey's allies, anonymous flyers calling Zara a traitor and Desert Valor a scam. Zara reported them to Aisha, who linked them to a disgruntled ex-cop, but the damage stung, shaking Desert Valor's donors. Zara's story spurred systemic change. The Veterans Advocacy Network launched Valor Shield, a national program offering legal aid, counseling, and advocacy for harassed veterans. Zara became an advisor, training advocates in 12 states. Albuquerque police adopted veteran sensitivity training, with Zara and Maria co-designing the curriculum, emphasizing trauma-informed policing. Zara testified before New Mexico's legislature, her 20-minute speech, detailing Ramsey's abuse and its toll, helping pass the Veteran Respect Act, mandating independent oversight of police complaints and penalties for targeting veterans. Zara stayed grounded, rejecting hero worship. She wasn't a celebrity, just a Marine who spoke up. At Desert Valor, she expanded the support circle, helping Sofia secure a teaching job, Diego enroll in nursing school, Lena pursue therapy, and Amina launch a small business. Noor and Layla's programs boosted Desert Valor's reach, serving 300 veterans monthly. Elena's dialogues became a national model, with cities like Tucson and Denver replicating them. Zara looked at her silver star, no longer a relic, but a beacon for the fights ahead. 15 months after the trial, Zara stood stronger, her life transformed by the fight against Ramsey. Desert Valor became a regional powerhouse, with Valor Shield supporting veterans across 20 states and partnerships with the VA and VFW. Zara trained advocates, spoke at national veteran summits, and mentored clients, but shunned fame, focusing on Sofia, Diego, Lena, Amina, and Amira, whose resilience mirrored her own. Systemic reforms gained momentum. Albuquerque's police department, humbled by the scandal, implemented mandatory bias training and a civilian oversight board, with Zara consulting. The Veteran Respect Act inspired a federal bill, The Veteran Dignity Act, co-sponsored by New Mexico senators. Valor Shield secured $2 million in grants, easing Zara's financial strain and funding a new Desert Valor campus. Ramsey's federal conviction, 5 years in prison, upheld on appeal, closed a chapter, but Zara knew other Ramseys lurked. Her personal growth was profound. Therapy with Malik tamed her PTSD, reframing flashbacks as proof of survival. Noor became a constant, co-leading Desert Valor's mental health wing and hosting family dinners with her husband and kids. Layla's job training program placed 50 veterans in careers, her humor a balm for Zara. A new subplot emerged. Mentoring Master Sergeant, Redamar, Caleb Jones, Zara's former platoon sergeant, who'd struggled with alcoholism post-service. Caleb reached out, inspired by Zara's trial, seeking redemption. Their talks about war, guilt, and purpose helped Caleb join Desert Valor, leading outreach for homeless vets. The support circle thrived, with Sophia mentoring new teachers, Diego excelling in nursing school, Lena leading PTSD workshops, and Amina's bakery gaining local fame. Amira, now a pre-law student, spoke at a Valor Shield rally, crediting Zara. Zara hosted a community festival, Baba's Legacy, honoring her grandfather's belief in food as unity. Over 150 veterans gathered at a South Valley park, with Maria, Samir, and the police chief grilling alongside Elena. Noor brought her hospital colleagues, Layla led job booths, and Caleb shared his recovery story, inspiring Amira. Zara felt Baba's spirit, his lessons alive in this chosen family. Challenges persisted. Ramsey's allies continued their smear campaign, with fake online reviews targeting Desert Valor. Zara and Aisha countered with a PR campaign, showcasing client success stories, but the stress lingered. Anonymous threats, now rare emails, "You'll pay Marine," surfaced, though Zara ignored them, fortified by her community. A new subplot introduced Zara's work with Khalid, a 22-year-old former Army private harassed by a different officer. Zara guided Khalid's complaint, securing the officer's suspension, a victory that energized Amira and Caleb. Zara moved to a Pueblo-style home near the Sandia Mountains, a sanctuary for healing. Noor, Layla, and Amira helped decorate, hanging Zara's silver star beside a Baba's Legacy mural. The festival became an annual tradition, a declaration that veterans deserved respect, not harassment. As fall approached, Zara hiked the Sandias with Caleb and Amira, their bond a testament to second chances. "You rewrote the rules," Caleb said. Zara smiled. "Just followed my orders. Protect and serve." 2.5 years after the trial, Zara stood at the 5th Baba's Legacy Festival, hosted at Desert Valor's sprawling Albuquerque campus. Over 250 veterans, families, and allies gathered under a New Mexico twilight, the air rich with roasted chilies and music from a veteran band. Zara watched Sophia lead a choir, Diego mentor Khalid, Lena and Amina run a food truck, Amira speak on a youth panel, and Maria, Samir, Elena, Caleb, Noor, and Layla weave through the crowd, their laughter a symphony. This was her legacy, a community rooted in dignity, resilience, and accountability. Ramsey's conviction faded from headlines, but its impact endured. He served his sentence, barred from policing, a pariah in Albuquerque. The Veteran Respect Act spurred laws in 25 states, and the Veteran Dignity Act passed Congress, mandating national standards for police-veteran interactions. Valor Shield supported 5,000 veterans across 40 states, with Zara as global director, advising Pentagon and UN panels on veteran rights. Albuquerque's police department became a reform beacon, training cities like Seattle and Miami, citing Zara's case. Zara's personal life flourished. Noor and her family were fixtures, hosting weekly dinners where Zara taught Noor's kids Marine cadences. Layla's program placed 200 veterans in jobs, her friendship a rock. Caleb, sober and thriving, led Desert Valor's homeless outreach, his redemption a beacon for Khalid. Malik's therapy managed Zara's PTSD, letting her hike the Sandias without flashbacks. Amira, accepted to law school, won a Valor Shield case against a biased employer, dedicating it to Zara. Khalid, now a Desert Valor intern, spoke at VA events, his confidence soaring. A letter from a young Marine captain arrived. "You showed, me I can demand respect after my boots come off." Zara filed it with thousands, each a spark of her impact. She declined 60 minutes but accepted a quiet award from the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation, dedicating it to her clients. At Baba's legacy, she spoke briefly. "I didn't fight Ramsey for glory. I fought for every veteran, Sophia, Diego, Lena, Amina, Amira, Khalid, told to stay silent. Our service demands dignity and will keep claiming it." The crowd roared, but Zara stepped back, letting Sophia, Diego, and Amira speak. Their voices carried the mission forward. Later, Zara reflected on her oath: defend against all enemies. Ramsey's badge was no different from a Taliban rifle when used to harm. Baba's words rang, "Stand firm." She had, and she'd keep standing. The festival ended with a toast to Baba, to veterans, to justice. Zara's silver star hung beside Baba's legacy photos, symbols of battles won and futures built. The fight wasn't over. New Ramseys would rise. But Zara was ready, armed with truth, courage, and a community that roared. Have you faced or witnessed abuse of power? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how you stood tall or lifted others. If this story hit home, smash that like button, subscribe, and share with anyone who needs to know their service matters. Honor isn't in badges or medals. It's in fighting for what's right. Thanks for watching, and let's keep the battle for justice alive.